As we have heard during the EML program and also during our Vinaya class, the desire for a sexual relationship is one of the biggest obstacles for becoming ordained and remaining ordained. And so for that reason, we are really encouraged to do a lot of reflection about the role of sex in our lives. So having done some work on this particular topic for several years, actually 13 to be exact, I discovered 3 words that are very dear to my heart that I wanted to share with you. So what are they? Sex is boring. But you see, we are in denial about this fact. And why are we in denial? And that's because there are literally billion-dollar industries that are focused on making money by making us think that sex is more exciting and interesting than it really is. I mean, you take Hollywood, for example. That's the #1 pusher of sex. They really make lots of money trying to set up, or actually setting up, a great deal of unrealistic expectations about both sexual and romantic relationships. And then you have the apparel industry, the music industry, the travel industry, books, magazines, etc. And that's just the ones that are legit. There's also the ones that are not so legit. And so people of all ages today are bombarded with images and messages of sex being more exciting and fun and adventuresome than it really is. And for that reason, it's very hard for us to see clearly. And it's to the point where we have to have a sex life, right? If we don't, we're losers. We think that we're missing out, and everybody else around us thinks that we're missing out. And we have to have a great physique, of course, in order to be attractive, in order to have a sex life. So if you thought that gym membership was all about being healthy, think again. It's not about that. It's about having the perfect body that's going to help you attract the perfect person that you want to be with. Right? And so our partners have to be physically attractive. That's #1. And if not, they at least have to have money. Yeah? Those are the 2 things. So let's look at sex honestly. If sex were really so much fun, would we need to say to our friends, you know what, my sex life is a bit stale. I think I'm going to find myself another partner, right? We wouldn't have to say that, because the thing in and of itself would be wonderful. It wouldn't be up to a partner to make it unwonderful. People do say these kinds of things. So we blame the partner instead of the action. We blame the location instead of the action, right? And so we have to go to the Bahamas. We have to go to the Amalfi Coast. We have to spend a lot of money going into more exotic and expensive locations. So if sex were really it, any good old place would do, right? Or maybe the problem is that your partner is simply not wearing the right outfit. And so you have to go spend a lot of money on lingerie, because it is the lingerie's fault that you're not having good sex. So anyway, looking honestly and deeply, we have to be brutally honest about what are the wrong conceptions that we have about sex. And we're not going to like what we find. So we have to be open to that, because sex is boring, it's impermanent, and it's in the nature of dukkha. Can you imagine you telling that to your friends? we mistake this temporary bodily pleasure for lasting happiness. And it's exactly what Buddha said in the sutra that Venerable read to us during the course, is searching for happiness in that which is subject to birth, aging, sickness, death, sorrow, and lamentation. But boy, we go for that! Yay! So in this quest, we end up dissatisfied, tired, and with a lot less cash. And that's not even talking about the many negativities that we incur trying to find a sexual partner. We can easily engage in idle talk, in jealousy, competition, anger, just to name a few. And where does our practice go, right? It gets relegated to tomorrow, or maybe whenever I have energy left. or in my case, I gave up a whole year of practice. Venerable, this was before I met you. I had to say that, not to get in trouble with the boss. So, what helps to keep our libido and attachment in check? So, I found that the meditation on the foulness of the body is really a potent medicine. It's very effective. I mean, that was really a go-to, and the moment that I started doing, I really felt a change in my mind. However, we have to get over one little hump. And what is that? Well, the mind is very resistant to seeing the body that you're infatuated with as full of excrement. The mind simply does not want to go there. But we have to have determination, and we have to want to do this practice. We have to want to wake up. And it is really a gift to ourselves and to others to stop seeing them as objects of desire. This view is so one-dimensional, so narrow, so restrictive. How can we get to really know and appreciate and connect with a person when this is all we see? And really, in this state of mind of infatuation, we're not even seeing the person. As Venerable mentioned this morning, the moment that we see a body that we like, that we're attracted to, our mind starts fantasizing. Hello, we're imputing qualities on the object that doesn't really have. And then the more that we fantasize, the drunker our mind gets. And it's so drunk with giddiness and unrealistic expectations and hopes and wishes that we don't see the person in its reality, in his or her wholeness. And then one day, when our mind finally sobers up, we wake up and we think, who the heck is this person in my bed? And how can I get rid of them? Yeah? And then we go on to the next fantasy. So I find that it is much more rewarding and healthier for the mind to see others as objects of respect, as objects of loving kindness. But that's so much more boring. And a lot more work. But as Venerable Jigme says, that's also closer to reality. And it's the foundation of our entire spiritual path. But anyway, as I was doing this analysis, and it took me a long time. I mean, it took me years to kind of wade through all of the mush in my mind. But as I was doing that, at some point I realized there is something missing here. And I kept on trying to figure out what that was. And then one day popped into my mind, you know what? It's not enough to stop seeing others as objects of desire. We have to stop seeing ourselves as objects of desire. I have to stop seeing myself as an object of desire. And let's face it, women have been objectified for so long. We don't even know how deep that goes. Yeah? We didn't consent to the messages, but they got in there nonetheless. And as long as those attitudes were buried in there, undiscovered, unidentified, and not attended to, then they are in the background sort of pulling the strings of what I do, what I think, and how I react. So it's important to identify what those are. And it's important to know that we don't have to relate to ourselves in that paradigm, to ourselves or to others. Contemplating the foulness of my body helped a lot. It helped a lot to reduce the attachment to my body. But it did not diminish that desire to experience the buzzy, giddy, wonderful, elated feeling of being somebody's object of attraction. I mean, when they looked at me, when they smiled, when they said that word, so beautiful, hello. And there are so many problematic byproducts of these attitudes, like having to fulfill unrealistic body images, lack of self-acceptance, lack of self-esteem and self-confidence, just to name a few. Because really, we think that we are building up our confidence and strength by going to the gym, building up our body, putting up all kinds of makeup, tinting our hair, when in reality, all that results is in less confidence, less self-esteem, more distraction. So instead, I'm seeing myself not anymore as an object of desire. I'm focusing on seeing myself as an ethical person, as a spiritual person. And as I've been doing that, I've noticed that my self-confidence has grown. My self-respect has grown. And so it's a very healing experience to stop relating to myself and others in that way. And it's easy to become so imbalanced when we are thinking that a sexual relationship is the most important thing in our life at the expense of our spiritual growth. So I encourage you to think deeply about this. Be brutally honest with yourself and dig up all those buried conceptions that you have about sex that may derail your spiritual goals. You know, what have you got to lose? At worst, your friends may make fun of you. At best, you may attain liberation. That seems like a good bargain to me.